talking about the Muppets recently that now Disney has put a warning message previous to watching an episode of Muppets on Disney Plus or wherever you watch it. They actually have a warning saying that there are things that the Muppets are doing that had done back then. They were wrong then, they are wrong now. And of course, the right wing is like, I can't believe they're turning the Muppets offensive. The Muppets are offensive. The Muppets are offensive. And my first idea of that was like, well, come on, they're the freaking Muppets. I love the Muppets. They're not offensive. But then I started thinking about Animal. And if anytime he saw an attractive woman, he would like literally chase after them like, woman! And these women seemingly would be chasing for their life. We knew it was a gag, but you don't remember those things with the Muppets as much, but those are things that are inbred into the sexualization of women, looking like women as their property, looking like women as their prey to a certain extent. So I initially was going to say, you know what, the right wing's got a point here, but then I start thinking about things like that. Now, where you have a problem with cancel culture is that, okay, that's one aspect of the Muppets. Obviously, the Muppets talk a lot more about teamwork and expressing yourself, and the most dominating character of all of them is Miss Piggy. So you can make the argument that it's certainly nothing to do with sexism. It just was trying to be funny and not being so woke in the 70s, which, I mean, how many fucking people were woke in the 70s? They're all doing blow and banging each other. I mean, come on now. It was the 70s, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely a different time period. I think, what flew in the 70s, even like what you're referring to definitely doesn't fly nowadays. And I think some of the same level of feminism was going on during that time period as well. So it just goes to show you, like, it's a lot of this woke thinking, and even like it can really cross itself, because even something that creates a double standard, if it has to do with race or gender, if somebody comes out and says, well, that's a double standard, then they get that cancel culture towards them for speaking out about it. And that's just kind of like where we're at. And it stems from the snowflake, the whole millennial snowflake tag that has happened, that comes from the right side. And it really actually just comes from this polarization that we're currently in. And it's just has gotten worse, even as all these things have happened. And we said enough is enough. Our Capitol got invaded, things like that. We're still seeing, they're still at these polar sides, and the national mask mandate, things like that are just still creating these polars. And it's just, this is one of the big side effects of this, is this cancel culture. And honestly, it's not good for our culture and our society. And I think we just want to try to talk a little bit more about it today and get the awareness out.
Oh, absolutely. Because I think there is a danger to all of this. And I want to kind of not even talk specifically about, because I mean, one person cancel culture has infected is a guy that we respect, and it's Dr. Ron Paul. He's done. Completely deplatformed.
Perfect example.
But I'm more concerned about, and this resonates with the Black community, it resonates with the white community. At what point does the person become the sins more than they are the victories or the accomplishments? Where do they lie? For example, Thomas Jefferson now. What do you know about Thomas Jefferson? The biggest thing you know about is that he's a slave owner now. When we were growing up, he wrote the Declaration of Independence. Now he's a slave owner, like a lot of them, like George Washington. And so we forget that this guy penned one of the most important documents in the history of this entire planet, because he owned slaves, because he was a rich Southerner back in the 1700s. And if you were a rich Southerner back in the 1700s, you probably owned slaves.
Yes. Right. That was par for the course. That would be like, owning something today, but it's obviously not acceptable at all, and really never was. But during that time period, it was. And then what has happened is now that is applied to today's standards, and then that person is dismissed. And a little known fact about Thomas Jefferson, he invented a science. He invented taxonomy by actually classifying everything in the mid-Atlantic basically out in his backyard. He did amazing things, but he did own slaves. And in all honesty, he was actually involved with some of that.
Several black people can go back to Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, so this could get very offensive very quickly nowadays, and even the mere us talking about it, we could get some reactions for this, and certainly do it. valleyvig08@gmail.com. Drop us a line. Definitely let us know what's on your mind. We'd love to hear. But then there's this dismissal, and it's anything that like rides those edges, like we were just talking about. It's grounds for a complete just write-off of what that person did, or like you're fired, or you're, and rightfully so. The public announcer, or the play-by-play announcer for the Reds, referred to Kansas City as the fag capital of the world on live air, and his entire career of excellent broadcasting was just drained in about one sentence. And honestly, that was, he really should have had some ramifications. But
when did he say that? When did that happen?
So this happened this past summer.
What?
On a live broadcast for the Reds. It was like the Reds and another sports team, and he thought that they were in a commercial break, and somebody had said,
it was a woman.
We have the Kansas City Royals coming up this week, and we'll be in Kansas City, just letting you know. And he goes, the fag capital of the world, and it went over a hot mic and went right out to the entire audience listening at the time. And
which, by the way, that is a horrible thing to say.
It really
San Francisco and Pittsburgh are way higher than Kansas City.